Here we have the current stock market update for Super Micro Computer Incorporated, stock ticker SMCI. Before we begin, if you find these educational materials to be helpful in your trading, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons and leave your thoughts below in the comment section so that other traders will be able to find this information more easily on the platform. So we do have the market open today. We have a daily chart here that we're looking at. And we have received some response from the Supermicro CEO, largely saying that overall the numbers are going to be largely unaffected by any revisions that are made in the future. So going forward, what we're going to have to assess here is whether or not the market is likely to believe what it's hearing. So at the moment, we've got sort of two sides of the argument here, two sides of the equation. We've got Hindenburg with a clear short position on the stock, so they clearly have a financial interest here to see the stock continue to move lower. And what this ultimately comes down to is, the market will be the judge and jury here, and this is what will ultimately determine how the stock performs here near term. So obviously, we do have a very strong price movement into the downward direction. And for anybody that's long the stock, what would be most concerning from my perspective would be the fact that the bounces here have been very small in size. Most recently, what we've seen here is a movement into 395.16. This does break the prior price lows, which came in at 478.56. And the real problem at this point is that there's no technical evidence on this chart to suggest that share prices would be likely to find support around 395. Now, that does not mean that it can't happen. This was based on a news event that may or may not be as valid as some people in the market would like to believe it is. So is there scope here for the stock to continue moving higher? Yes. Could the stock kind of randomly turn around here, find support at sort of a random level? Yes, I do think it's possible, given the fact that this isn't really based on hard information. A lot of the information that was released in the Hindenburg report, it's short on details and it's a bit difficult to verify. So currently, what we're looking at here is a bit of a random price movement in the downward direction. The problem is that, we've done a lot of technical damage to the charts here, and there is no real reason to believe, at least from a chart perspective, that share prices would be finding support at 395.16. There's really nothing in this area. You don't really see much in terms of support until, you could possibly point to 355 as a potential breakout zone, the breakout zone which led to the initial rally that occurred during the early parts of this year and ultimately resulted in the price highs, which were posted at 12.29. So you could sort of point to that area, and we're not so far away from there, roughly $40 from that bottom. Currently, what we're looking at here is a share price coming in at 445.60. So we are seeing a little bit of upside price movement. As you can see, it is a green candle on this chart. But the problem is, the size of the candle is minimal. And overall, to me, this looks as though the market is still apprehensive. Maybe the market feels like it doesn't know what to believe at this point. It's a very volatile stock, and that does suggest that there is uncertainty in getting into this position. Has all of the dust settled? Are we really at the end of this decline here? I think that this is really the question. And I think that the market is just not sure at the moment. So if you are expecting to see a reversal here, I'm not saying that it can't happen, but I think that if you're going to see a reversal here, I think that it's going to be a bit slow going here near term. And I do think that you could still see a little bit of downside. I think that we're probably close to the bottom. I think that we're probably not too far from the bottom at the moment. This 355 level makes a little bit more sense to me than 395. But if the market is going to respond positively to the statements that have been released by the CEO, I mean, I do think that this really does require more of a PR effort on their part. And I'm not even trying to take sides here in this debate necessarily, but I'm just saying, I think a bit more damage control needs to be done, given the fact that share prices have just completely fallen off a cliff, and this follows a period where share prices were already falling off a cliff. We've seen two major waves of selling pressure here, from roughly 1229 to 671, as we pointed out in prior videos, and then again, we saw a bit of a relief rally into $1,014. And then a break to new lows at 478.56. So this follows all of that activity. So this is a lot of price movement to the downside, and at the very least, this really calls into question the prior moves to the top side. as far as intrinsic value and things like that would be concerned, I do think that we're trading at depressed levels here, and I do think that share prices should be moving higher. But what we're dealing with here is a news event and public sentiment that is going to actually determine whether or not share prices are able to find a bottom near term. So the way that things currently look to me, at the moment I would consider this to be a dead cat bounce. For anybody that's not familiar with the market, this is a very common term that's used. It's sort of a crude way of referring to, I don't know, if a cat fell off of a building and the cat fell onto the ground, the cat would not be bouncing very high off the ground because the cat would be no longer alive. It's a bit crude, but I didn't come up with the phrase. Um, to me, that is what this looks like at the moment. This is a very steep drop here, and we're seeing a little bit of a relief rally here, but not by much. I mean, we are trading, closer to the 450 mark, but the bounces here have not been amazing. And what this does tell me, if nothing else, is that shareholders and investors are not flocking into this name. Overall, the market is barely believing what it's hearing, and the market is very reluctant at the moment. So for this reason, I mean, if you are bullish on this stock, I think that they really need to be in damage control at the moment, and they really do they really need to be doing much more of a PR offensive at the moment. They should be trying to, sort of control the narrative, in the news cycle as far as this company is concerned. They should be making more of an effort to, do televised, video interviews and things like that. I really think that's required at this point because overall the reaction here has not been amazing, and what you are seeing here is a very minimal bounce after a series of serious losses. So as things currently stand, I don't think that we can rule out further downside. I do think that it would be somewhat limited. I kind of prefer the 355 area as a level to sort of bounce here. And then given the fact that the overall movement here to the top side has been so minimal, you definitely can't rule out further moves below. If we were to see a break above, let's call this, let's try to look for the top side here. Yeah, I mean, I would sort of look at 485 as a potential sort of breakout zone. I mean, I think that if you could possibly break above 485, that would take some of the pressure off of the downside, and then you'd be looking at the 20-day exponential moving average next, which comes in right around 560 as the next main area of resistance. So if you were to see a break back above 485, I think that could take some pressure off of the downside. But if we continue to see these weak movements here, you could be looking at new lows for the stock. So here's the current market update for Super Micro Computer Incorporated, stock ticker SMCI. Our high value trading strategies membership is currently available for a limited time for only $9.99 per month. These high conviction investment strategies are characterized by superior risk to reward metrics that target massive market beating returns over time. Join now to outperform the market. Lock in this special introductory rate of just $9.99 per month for the entire lifetime of your membership and start trading stocks with the pros.